Hello, my name is Francisco Chavez, and I'm going to be talking about the Gothic architecture of Notre Dame de Paris and also in Reims. I would just like to note that originally in my research, I was supposed to be talking about the modern additions to the architecture. Based on my findings, I wasn't able to find a lot due to accessibility. So instead of, or not instead of, but in addition to what information I could find, I went in depth of the culture that was influenced by Notre Dame, like in World War II, the propaganda, and also the new artists coming after the medieval period, like early Renaissance, and also impressionistic paintings. And so, in the new additions to Notre Dame Post Fire, I was able to read and find out that they discussed the theories surrounding the new additions that are modern while also maintaining the Gothic style. One of the new additions discussed would be the installation of a stained glass ceiling. And so, in my opinion, I think that would probably be the biggest contributor or biggest modernized thing because as of today, we don't take light as heavily as the medieval people did. The light was so grandiose and essential to life, and they thought that was the divine light. So they would use color to illustrate the terribleism that one of the artists talks about. And so I love it, and I think that he's right. I think that a modern ceiling of glass, like a mosaic, would be an amazing addition to the cathedral that would really bring out the light that they so characterize. Because imagine being able to look up and see that all this colorful light just coming down onto you. I think that would be amazing. And so, in terms of new additions that were actually made, I was able to watch like a news broadcast, and I found that they were actually mounting the statues on the archivolts using modern technology. And so far, that's all I could find. There was some sketches that I found that they're all different, however, and none of them were really concrete, but I feel like most of them aim to illustrate that concept of going to the heavens that they all did, like right here and right here, and also in these little statues here, they all are pointing to the heavens and even the archivolts as well. And so I also want to talk about how Jeans de Charles, he was one of the big five artists that worked on these cathedrals and one of the artists to instill most depth and human appearances of the building. And as you can see here, like right here, this was done by another artist. I'm not sure who, but I'm pretty sure this was done by Jeans de Charles because he was the most impactful realism artist in this cathedral, in my opinion. And so, yeah, and I find that I love that these cathedrals have realism, and I love looking at realistic things. And so, another thing that was unique to this building was the establishment of unity with various lines. The archivolts are much higher in comparison to other cathedrals, and also a key component that I think highlighted the light of these cathedrals that was not normalized in other cathedrals was the torus right here is a more spherical approach. And so that enables the light to come through at a more central point, like right here. It literally shows the angles that it will come at. It's meant to come in this little aisle. And so, sorry. And then, yeah, that parallels or it translates to other art as well, especially in these new up and coming artists after the cathedral was built. David, for example, after the French Revolution, he illustrated the crowning of Napoleon, the new French king, up and coming and going to buy Canada basically, or sell Canada to the U.S. And so you see right here in the archivolts, or this like right here illustrated right here where the light was coming onto people, is divine place right here. This was a place for the people to gather and be at peace with each other. The cathedral was made for the people to come and worship and also just be together. And so because all these people are here in a time of new things, I feel like for David, this was a point in life for him where things were moving forward and things were starting anew. And some other paintings as well. We can see in early Renaissance paintings, or yeah, with tempera, they would they would often have evangelical kind of illustrations. They were known for that, their religious iconography. And you can see here in the background, here is Notre Dame, and they're pointing to the heavens, and you can see this evangelical figure here piercing through the sky as these demons flock her away. And I feel like Notre Dame's golden, this or this bold, like like not mustard, but dark gold, is a resemblance of how it brushes away the, or it brings holiness to the land. And that's pretty much essential throughout all of time. And um, I believe that it just shows this essential point. Also, in the Impressionist paintings, this one was from Charles Cezanne. He was known for illustrating city backgrounds and also just capturing moments in life during the city times. And this was during the Industrial Revolution. So he was able to take away what the realism that the Renaissance and Baroque and neoclassical painters did, because their emphasis was on realism and illustrating the body and architecture as much as they can. And so in this sense, he took away the realism from the building while also maintaining its stature, and it's still a beautiful building. And even in this painting, he still has these white clouds that I believe resemble the holiness that the building brings with itself. So a common iconography in all paintings is either the gathering or the holiness or a new start or some kind of event happening with the cathedrals. And even in World War II, the art that was created, or the propaganda that was created when the Germans bombed the cathedral, was so interesting to me. And the prop some like right here, so it was speculated or noted that the French people would um basically blame the Germans because, or like tackle the Germans because they were using their artwork and trying to take it away from them. And the Germans would use Notre Dame de Reims as some kind of site for them to do reconnaissance or a place for them to bring their injured. And that wasn't fair to the French people. So they obviously attacked them, and the Germans felt that they were being, I don't know, they felt that they were being attacked themselves, even though they were committing mass genocide. Um, but you can see here the Mona Lisa and these, I believe that's actually Raphael and David right here, Michelangelo's David, and some of the art pieces here that have these curvatures, and obviously Notre Dame de Paris, I mean de Reims in the background. And so yeah, and also this is the propaganda that the French had against the Germans. And so you can see this beautiful fire, beautiful to me. I'm sure this wasn't beautiful to them, but in all essence, the French people created beautiful propaganda to be against the Germans, and I think that was so rightfully of them. And so yeah, I feel like all of the Notre Dame cathedrals have some mark in history, and it is imperative to note that these buildings have always had a mark in history. And even now, I'll go back to the first building, the fire that happened. I feel like it's so coincidental that this fire happened during all this political discourse, like Black Lives Matter and everything else. And I feel like this fire was just like a sign from the universe that this big historical figure just burned down a key part in history, and it's time for us to make a new one in celebration of a new mark of history. Like we need to make new history, because this is too much racism, too much bad things going on. And so that's my take on the research that I was given. And also, yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for taking the time to listen.